If you are thinking of hiring a PPC agency, then you have probably realized by now that Google Ads agency pricing can be so confusing and opaque, and this makes it really hard to know if you're getting a good deal or not. In this video, I'm going to give you a full guide on Google Ads agency pricing. This is coming from me, someone who has run his own agency for 12 years and who has been in the agency business for 18 years. Today, I'm going to walk you through the different types of pricing model that exist. I will give you some benchmarks to help you judge whether you are getting a good deal. I will teach you the factors that make some agencies more expensive or cheaper than others. I will teach you about getting a performance deal, and I'll also teach you how to negotiate a lower rate with your agency. Whew, that's a lot to cover. We better dive right in. Before I give you some benchmark prices to work from, you need to understand the different types of PPC agency pricing models that exist. There's a handy survey document that I'll refer to here. I will link to this document in the description below this video in case you want a copy of the full doc. The document is called The State of PPC Global Report 2024, and it's the largest survey available of PPC agencies and professionals. Let's have a look at page 31 of the report, which covers agency pricing models. As you can see, there are many different possible pricing models. 20% of the survey respondents use a flat fee based on the monthly spend range. For this structure, there would be different tiers based on your monthly ad spend. As your ad spend grows, you move up to higher tiers where the agency charges more. 19% of respondents charge based on billable hours. Honestly, I am not sure I believe the exact numbers in this survey. I do not know a single other Google Ads agency or agency owner who bills based on hours. From a PPC agency point of view, it's a terrible model as it does not incentivize efficiency. Anyways, the next one at 16% is fully custom for each client. What this normally means is that the agency in question could do any of the other pricing models listed here, and that they customize it based on the individual client. For me and my agency Big Flare, I guess we would fall into this category. Most of our clients are on a flat fee plus a percentage of ad spend, as I think this is the best model in most situations. Some of our clients are on a flat retainer, some clients are on a pure percentage ad spend, and very occasionally will accept a performance-based client deal. This is rare for us though, for reasons which I will explain later. Flat fee plus percentage of ad spend is the next most popular model at 15% on that chart. What this means is that the agency could charge a flat monthly retainer, and in addition to that, they charge a percentage of your ad spend. When compared to agencies that charge purely on percentage ad spend, the percentage should be much lower, as it is being charged in addition to the flat fee. 11% of survey responders said they charge a flat fee based on other variables. I think the other variables could be things around service level, which channels are being run, how many meetings per month there are, that kind of thing. 8% of the agencies surveyed use a pure percentage of ad spend model. Again, this number is surprising to me personally. In my almost 2 decades of experience, I have usually seen the pure percentage of ad spend model to be the most common one used by other agencies that I know. It's usually tiered as well. As the ad spend goes up, the percentage is going to come down. 2% of agencies do a performance-based model. This is the lowest number, and for a good reason. It's honestly a terrible model, not just for the agency, but also for you as the client. This may surprise you, but I will explain why I think that a little bit later in this video. 3% of people said other, 6% of people said don't know or no answer. So with all these different models, which benchmark can you use to know if you're getting a good deal? Well, here's one: 10% of ad spend per month. You may have heard other people saying Google Ads agencies should cost 10% of ad spend. It's a very common benchmark that has been thrown around and used widely for years, decades even. Over 2 decades ago, when I used to do TV media buying, before the rise of online advertising, it used to be standard for agencies to get 15% commission from media vendors, meaning the TV channels and print publications we would advertise with. When Google Ads and online ad agencies became a big thing, the industry standard for digital advertising anyway seemed to shift down a bit right away to 10%. And this fee was not paid from the media vendor, for example Google, to the agency. It was paid by the advertiser or client to the agency, which probably explains why the percentage suddenly dropped from 15% to 10% as the average. Despite the fact that so much has changed and agencies use different pricing models now, the 10% benchmark is still a useful place to start, if you know how to use it. Meaning that the 10% of ad spend benchmark is only a useful benchmark if your ad spend falls within a specific range. Which will make sense if you think about it. If your ad spend is $100 per month, do you really think any agency is going to run your campaign for you for $10 a month? No. Agencies are real businesses too, with real costs, and running your campaign for $10 per month would be a massive loss. They'd be better off just burning a pile of their own money. At the same time, if your ad campaign were spending $1 million per month, an agency does not need to charge $100K per month in agency fees. Although I do know of some agencies that would try and get away with this, any honest agency faced with a client with $1 million per month ad spend would admit that 10% of ad spend would represent an extravagant margin for them, and they could afford to do it for less and still turn a great profit. So what's the range at which 10% makes sense? 10% of ad spend as a fee for a Google Ads agency makes sense when your ad spend is around $50K to $100K in ad spend per month. Above $100K, you should be looking at lower than 10% as an average rate. And below $50K per month, at this level, the bigger deal at this point is usually going to be whatever is the minimum fee for that agency, and don't be surprised if you end up paying more than 10%, significantly more than 10% perhaps. I think a fair minimum fee for an agency is going to be around 1K to 5K USD per month. Here's how it looks in my opinion. So as I say, up to about 50K per month in ad spend, you are probably looking at something around 1K per month to 5K per month, as the agency's minimum fees are generally around that level. Between 50K to 100K in ad spend per month is where a benchmark of 10% ad spend makes sense. Bear in mind, these are just rough benchmarks and guidelines. Some agencies will be above and some agencies will be below these levels. When you get into 100K plus per month ad spend territory, then I think you should expect less than 10% of ad spend as the number that you are paying. And in terms of agencies that charge based on ad spend, the lowest you can expect them to go is about 5%, and expect to get that low when you are spending multiple six figures in ad spend per month and higher. Now, as we noted previously, most agencies don't use the percentage ad spend model anymore, but it is still a useful benchmark. You just modify it for the model in question. For example, if you are negotiating a performance deal with an agency, then use the percentage ad spend benchmarks I have given you and expect to pay them more if things go well, which is only fair. Performance deals are higher risk for the agency, and so they must have higher reward if things go well to balance that out. So let's run with this example a little bit longer. If I, as an agency owner, am negotiating a performance-based deal with a client, and we expect we are going to get up to 60K in ad spend per month, then what I am thinking at this point is that 10% of 60K is 6K. I think it would be reasonable for me to earn 6K if this were a percentage ad spend deal and the spend was 60K. But in this example, we are negotiating a performance deal, and so I would want the performance deal to be paying me more than 6K if we do reach that 60K mark in spend profitably. And how much more should the pay be above 6K? Well, it depends on the level of risk the agency is taking. The higher the level of risk, the higher the rewards should be, is how it should work. In a similar fashion, you can use the percentage ad spend benchmarks I have given you to help negotiate flat fee agency pricing. Let's say you are thinking of working with an agency that does flat fee pricing and your ad spend is 60K per month. Well, at that ad spend level, it's reasonable for percentage ad spend agencies to charge you 6K per month. This agency is not a percentage ad spend agency. However, I would still have 6K per month as a number in my head when judging their fees. If their flat fee was 20K per month, I would think that sounds quite expensive and I would want to know why. At the same time, if their flat fee was 1K per month, I would think this sounds quite cheap, and again I would want to know why. How are they making it that cheap, and what parts of the service are they cutting out versus other agencies that might charge me closer to 6K? If you are talking to an agency that offers a flat fee plus a percentage of ad spend, this again can be compared to the pure percentage benchmarks. Let's say you again have a 60K per month ad spend. And let's say the agency is offering you a flat fee of 3K plus a percentage of ad spend of 8%. So my ad spend is 60K in this example. 8% of 60K is 4,800. Add on the 3K flat fee and we are paying that agency $7,800. Now we convert that back to a pure percentage of ad spend. 7,800 divided by my $60,000 per month ad spend is 13%. Now remember my benchmarks, which said that between 50k to 100k ad spend, it's reasonable to be charged 10% of ad spend. In this case, the 3k flat fee plus 8% ad spend works out to 13% overall. And so again, I would think, that's a little bit above the average benchmark. I would not say, heck no, there's no way I can pay that, because again, the benchmarks I've given you are just an average, and as is always the case, some agencies will deserve to charge more and some deserve to charge less. But when I see that they are above the benchmark, I would just be aware of that, and I would want to be convinced they are worth more than benchmark before signing up. As I said, the benchmarks I have given you are just averages, and some agencies will be more pricey and some will be less. But why? Let's cover cheaper agencies first. If you are looking at an agency and they are charging less than 1k per month, then I would be trying to figure out why. They absolutely are cutting out parts of the service that a more expensive agency would provide, but which parts? One part of the service that may be cut is meetings. I think this is a fair enough way for an agency to reduce its costs and bring you a cheaper service. Higher priced agencies might have weekly meetings with clients. The cheapest agencies might have no meetings at all and just rely on email communications. Whatever your agency is offering, do consider what is needed for your business. If you have a highly dynamic business and ad campaign, and your business is highly dependent on your ads doing well, and you're spending big bucks on those ads, I would not recommend going for a cheaper agency that has cut out weekly meetings from the service. That said, if your ad campaign is likely to be fairly stable, the business isn't that dynamic, you just want hassle-free maintenance of your ad campaigns, and maybe you're not spending that much on ads anyway, well then a cheap agency with no weekly meetings built into the service could work. One big thing to watch out for with cheap agencies under 1k in monthly fees is their client to ad manager ratio. There's this type of agency in the industry that I call the stack 'em high agency. What this means is that the agency has low rates, maybe just $600 or $700 per month, and the way they make this commercially viable is that each of their ads managers has like 50 plus clients. At 50 plus clients per ad manager, there is absolutely no way each individual client is getting much attention. Employees from Stack 'em High agencies have applied to work at my agency before, and I've interviewed some of them. They told me how they have 50 clients. They told me that basically for maybe 40 to 45 of their clients, they never even looked at the client, they just let an automated software run the campaign. Most of their time was then spent just emailing and communicating with the 5 to 10 clients that actually emailed them and needed a response to something. If you are considering a low-cost agency, ask them how many other accounts your ads manager manages. If it's more than 25, I would say run for the hills. On the other end of the spectrum, why are some agencies so much more expensive? For example, I know of a number of agencies where the minimum fee to even get started is like 8k per month. Why? Usually these agencies want you to think it's because they are the best and they get the best results. Reality can often be different though. The real reason some agencies charge high is because they can. If demand for their service is sufficiently high, then they can charge more, and driving that demand high is often more about marketing themselves than it is about getting good results. So oftentimes, the high-priced agency is high-priced because you're paying for their awesome marketing campaign for their own agency. They invest a ton into marketing, thus they get a ton of demand and can thus afford to have higher prices and not bother with anyone who cannot afford those higher prices. Some of these high-priced, big brand agencies also do get good results. But often, I think if you're a 7-figure business or thereabouts, you would be on the lower end of their client list if you work with them, and they might get great results for their top clients, but for their lower end clients, they won't be investing as much time and care. Another thing you might be paying for with big name expensive agencies is their fancy office. They might have a fancy office or number of offices in city center locations. They might think that they need this as a sort of status symbol to impress potential clients who are going to get wooed by this kind of thing. At my agency, our fees are in line with the benchmarks I've given you, and we have no offices to pay for. We are a fully remote business. I hire staff from around the world, and while I do look in lower cost countries sometimes, such as Eastern Europe, one thing I do not do is lower the salary offered in those countries. Instead, I offer the same salary I would have paid to a Brit or American, but instead, if I am hiring in a low-cost country, I expect that all applicants will have at least 3 times as much experience and expertise. Those big-name agencies with the big fancy office have to hire local talent to sit in that fancy office. For that local talent, for the same salary, they are getting much less experienced people. That's why if you work with a big name agency, you might get someone with only a couple of years experience managing your campaign. Whereas in agencies like my one, everyone on the team has minimum 10 years experience. Next up, I'll discuss performance-based deals and how you might be able to get one. But before I do that, let me just take a moment to tell you about my Google Ads agency, Big Flare. Growing your small business and adding an extra 0 onto your annual revenue is no joke. You have signed up for a tough but rewarding mission with this. At Big Flare, we help businesses like yours to scale to that next level in revenue by investing smartly in paid ads on Google and Facebook. To get you to your goals, you need a team of experts that really know their stuff and are not overworked and have plenty of time to focus on your business's ad campaign. That's why everyone on my team has minimum 10 years experience, an average of just 5 clients per ad manager, and why we have a core value of caring for our clients' business as if it were our own. If you're ready to grow your business with professionally managed ad campaigns, click the link in the description below this video. From that page, select a time to talk with me or my team on the calendar. We'll look forward to seeing you on a Zoom call to talk about your business and its advertising goals shortly thereafter. Okay, let's talk about performance deals with agencies. I sometimes entertain the idea of doing a performance deal, but usually I refuse because the potential client is asking for it for totally the wrong reasons. There are 2 main reasons why potential clients ask for performance deals. Number 1, they are not confident their product is going to work well with paid ads and they are looking for someone else to take on the risk. Number 2, they are confident their product is going to work well with paid ads and they want to pay the agency more to incentivize them to get even more results. Now, when a potential new client comes to me and they are clearly situation number 2, they have a product or service that we think will do well with paid ads, we're confident it's going to do well, and their whole goal is to pay us more in exchange for more results, then awesome, we can talk about doing a performance-based deal. Maybe. But 95% of the time, when a potential client comes to me asking for a performance-based deal, they're actually in situation number 1. They are looking to put the risk onto someone else, either because they don't have enough money to pay, or because they're not confident their product will even work on paid ads. As you can imagine, situation number 1 is not very attractive to myself, and nor is it attractive to any agency that is getting enough leads and clients. If you're in situation number 1, and an agency accepts your performance deal idea, then I would be worried about that agency. They must be desperate for clients. I would be wondering, why are they so desperate? Is it because they're not any good? From my perspective, as an agency owner, number 2 is a good reason to accept a performance deal. But the thing is, when the product or service clearly works with paid ads and the chances are good, then most clients do not want a performance deal anyway because it ends up costing them a lot more money later on when the thing scales up. I've also seen multiple times where clients have said they're in situation number 2, their motivation is to pay us more for a job well done. Then we do a really good job and they pay a lot more than they would have on a normal percentage ad spend deal. They put up with that for a few months and then someone on their end, usually in their finance department, has a little meltdown and then they fire us and hire a different agency with a non-performance deal and thus a lower rate. On top of these issues, performance deals can be incredibly messy and tricky to keep track of, as you have to be very clear on how you are tracking performance, which platform you're reading results from, what attribution model you're using, what formula you're using for calculating profit, etc. Overall, performance deals sound good on paper, but they rarely work out. I do them rarely and only if a client is a situation 2 client, if we are very clear on the metrics and formulas used, and if I truly believe the client won't just fire us after a few months if we do really well and rack the bills up as a result. There are ways to negotiate a lower rate with the ads agency you are considering. You have to give them something in return though, because no agency that is good at what they're doing is going to just roll over and give you a cheaper rate just because you demanded it without offering anything in return. So you need to understand what is valuable to an agency in order to understand what you can offer them in exchange for a lower rate. One thing you can do is offer multiple websites or businesses. Let's say you run 2 different e-commerce stores with 2 different websites and ad accounts. If you offer both of those stores up to the agency for management, you will be able to ask for a discounted rate, seeing as you're offering more than one of them. Any agency that won't play ball with this is being a bit stingy, in my opinion. As an agency, one of our biggest cost drivers is the amount of time and brain space it takes to manage communications with a client. And if you are one client but offering 2 different businesses' ad accounts, the agency makes a saving there on time and cost of communication. And so that absolutely should translate into a discount for you. The other thing you can do is ask for multiple services. For example, at my agency, we offer Google Ads, but we also offer Facebook Ads. And if you already have one of those services with us and you ask us to manage the other one for you as well, we offer the second service at a generous discount. So if the agency you are considering offers multiple services, you will get a better and better rate, usually, the more services you run through them. Two other things that give you leverage with an agency are 1. Peace of mind, 2. Cash flow. For peace of mind, what I mean is every agency wants the peace of mind knowing that their client won't leave at the drop of a hat. A lot of agencies might offer a 3-month trial, then after that, it might be month to month. If you offer to do a longer minimum contract at the front, say a 6-month trial, or if after the trial you offer to sign up for a 6 or 12-month contract, this is a powerful bargaining chip and you should expect a sizable discount in exchange for it. Cash flow is always good in any business. The sooner you get your cash, the easier it is to hire staff faster and scale up according to demand faster. If you offer to prepay the next 3, 6, or 12 months with the agency, that's another good leverage point that you can then use to ask for a discount in exchange. Not everyone is ready right now to hire an agency, and especially in the beginning stages when you are new, it's often better to learn how to do Google Ads yourself. If that sounds like you, then you're going to want to watch this video right up here, where I teach you the most important hack that helps to supercharge your bidding strategy in Google Ads. Go check it out. I really think you'll get some value out of it.